Hello there, crafty doer. Jessica Michaels here for Color Rush Studio, creating with April's Kit Spring Romance. So grab a comfy chair, grab all your crafty things, and let's get into the crafty doings. I'm also playing along with this month's sketch, which I found it funny because the last layout that I created was very similar to this. So I almost feel like I get to create this design or this sketch twice, which is fun because then I can see how different a similar sketch can look. So I'm going to run this paper through my Cricut machine and cut out a circle in the center. I do scrapbook 8 by 8, so I have to trim my paper down. And once I do that, then I'll run it through the Cricut and cut out a circle. Now the last layout, which I'll go ahead and link here below so you can check out the final look to that layout, which is a shaker layout, by the way. And in that video, I also accidentally did not center the circle, but you can hardly tell. So go check it out. Let me know what you think. And if you can tell. So after I put my mat away, I'm going to trim the edges of this 8 by 8 a tiny bit, just a sliver, because I decided that I want to lay this on top of a pattern base. This one kept calling my name, and especially because of the photos that I'm going to scrap. My kiddo's Easter last year, and it's out in the grass and the trees and leaves and bushes, and there's a lot of green. So I think this is going to help pull those colors from those photos. I like to say that I'm a visual creative, and what I mean by that is that I need to see what my design is going to look like, literally. So I even have this stack full of different size photo mats, so I can play with the sizes and orientation and position, and that really helps me create my design. I also in advance pull like the ephemera that I want to use, as well as the frazzles and ribbons and any mixed media that I may or may not add to it. And usually it's like a little mini kit, and it's very helpful. How do you create? Do you lay it all out like I do, or do you just dive right in? Do you design your layout based on the colors of your photos? How do you do it? I know every creative is different. I'm be so intrigued to find out how you scrap. So now that I have my photo placement selected, I'm going to fussy cut some of these lace strips so I can ruffle them up and adhere them on the bottom of my layout here. If you've never created paper ruffles, it's quite simple. You grab a spritzer and spray your strip, and you start folding back and forth at the top. I want a kind of subtle ruffle, so I'm not going to be very harsh on my folds, and I'm also not going to fold a lot. So yes, I'm just looking for that kind of flowy movement as opposed to a very bold ruffle. And as you fold across the strip, it starts to dry, and it will dry in the way that you folded it. it can be a little bit challenging to adhere this dimensional ruffle down on a flat piece of a paper, but that's why I love this little bottle with the tiny needle nozzle, because it allows me to really get into those nooks. When I put it into my plastic sleeve in my album, I just kind of press the ruffles down a little so there's not too much dimension. So I do want to use this little ribbon with the tiny little Easter eggs, except it is a little too wide for what I want to use it for, but that is a simple fix. And I don't know about you, but I treat this cloth ribbon, this fabric ribbon, the same way I do my paper ruffle, which is spray it down just a tiny bit and then kind of iron it out without having to bring out an iron or a mini press or whatever. So yeah, little trick, I guess, maybe. I don't know. You tell me. So I'm going to cut this right in half, and then I'm going to treat it the same way again, like I did my paper ruffle, and fold it back and forth at the top. So I can then tuck it in at the top of my paper ruffle right here. Okay, go ahead, call me crazy, but I am going to fussy cut this tiny strip of lace to use it kind of like a hem. Okay, so now it's time to pull in the actual photos that I'm going to scrap, and I really like what I'm seeing. It feels good. And I want to repurpose this clipping from the end of the bottom ruffle. I think I want it under this photo, but I'm not completely sure. So what I like to do is just kind of place it there and let it see how it sits while I embellish. I love that this kit came with its own floral ephemera. That's exactly what I'm going to use to embellish half of the circle, starting here at the bottom and going upwards above my double photo placement. Then I'm going to pull those adorable wood veneer ribbons to lay next to the layout just so it can give me the feels. It's the same thing I did with that blue ruffle on the top left hand corner. I like to let it sit, let it marinate, see how it makes me feel, and then if I like it, then I'll commit. This is as close as my design is going to get to the final look, but first things first, I must grunge up my layouts. So I'm going to use 49 and Market's Cappuccino to add a little antique golden grunge look to it by inking the edges of all the ephemera as well as the inside of the circle. This is probably something that I should have decided before I adhered it down to my green patterned base, but it's just one of those things that happens last minute. And my favorite part about scrapping is trying to figure out a way to accomplish that, even though I'm steps ahead. Okay, so my first attempt in trying to ink the edge of the circle here was to use the intercircle that I cut out, but it was too big, obviously. its own shape. So I'm just going to use the packaging from Color Rush and slip it right under there and start inking around the edges. I feel like inking the edges gives it such a pop. So another thing I like to do to my florals for a little more dimension on my layouts is to curl up the edges. So that's what I'm going to do to all of my floral ephemera before I glue them down. I stinkin' love foam tape. I think it is just such a simple way to add dimension to your layout and a little bit of a pop. Adding it to my bunny, I've added it to one of the Easter eggs as well as the two bottom, or just one of the photos on the bottom. I'm really digging the bold black outlines to some of the design in this kit, especially the lace that I used down here. So I'm going to bring that into the wood veneer bows. One of them has like stitching burnt into it, and so I'm not going to do it to that one, but I am going to do it to the other two so that it could all be cohesive. I really love the alpha thickers in this kit this month. I think gold, it's such a beautiful accent color to any layout. And after inking my edges with cappuccino, I think it helps it bring the entire layout together. And all that is left is to stamp it. And here is the final look to this layout. Thank you so much for watching. I truly do hope that you were inspired and encouraged to play with mixed media on your paper crafts. Take on the monthly sketch challenge and pick up your kit, or subscribe to the monthly kit for a better deal. Don't forget to use code 10JessicaM for your discount. Thanks again so much for watching. Until the next crafty doings.